Hey guys, what is going on? Welcome back to another episode. Today, we finally got the cosmetic shop. Before we click on it, I did want to say I was not entirely sure what to expect out of this. When you think cosmetics, sometimes you think of just small little things that you can add to the game to bring some uniqueness to the game. I was thinking maybe, if they had a base skin that would be similar to this thing here, where even though it didn't have like an equipping bonus, it just had no attributes, no equipping bonus. It was just a base skin, just an overlay. So you can change the base skin, so you didn't have just the generic base skin, but you pay, say $25 or something like that, something very cheap, and to pick that up just to have a different base. And yeah, I feel like that would be in line with a lot of other games, or something like a base effect that you could put on that didn't have the skill damage output like the normal base effects do. That would have been cool because then you could have put that on just to make your base different without having to spend $200 like you normally would have. And I think those things would be pretty cool to pick up for $10, 20 bucks. And again, they're not going to have any effect in the game. It would just be for cosmetic purposes, which is a cosmetic store. That is what I envision when I think of cosmetic purchases. So with that in mind, when I clicked on the cosmetic store, and this is what I saw, I was very surprised. One, because they had all these base skins in here to purchase, which this is the first time we've ever had the opportunity to purchase more than one base skin at a time. But then two, the fact that this is all that there is. They didn't put anything else in here. It's just the base skins. So let's talk about that real quick. Why the base skins? And this is dropped before season 4 for us. Season 4 is just a couple days away. And if you look at this base here, this gets a bonus in season 4. If I go to the season 4 tab here, check on the season boost, you get a immune to the reduction of troop marching speed in the dark for holding in stock. So while you have this base skin, you don't have to worry about the speed reduction. And that's very similar to in the other seasons where you buy the monthly or the weekly pass and it gives you that troop marching speed. This is kind of like the opposite of that. You don't get that reduction, which you are going to have a reduction if you don't have this. So it's kind of interesting that you have to have this in order to avoid that. I don't know if there's going to be a weekly pass that's going to give you a marching speed increase, or if they're just going to tie it out to this base. If that's the case, that really is going to change the dynamic of the game with how base skins or how much more important base skins are. And then not just that, it doesn't start there. When you check out the holiness stock bonus for the Blood Knight state, damage to monsters is increased by 5%. That is the 5% you get for equipping the base, and then you get 5% for holding in stock, and then you get an additional 5% during the Blood Knight state. So in total, that's like 15% attack. It's just crazy the fact that if you don't have this base skin, you're losing out on 5% attack and then the troop marching speed. So that's why I think this does make sense. They brought this out, so if people didn't have this base skin before, they do have the opportunity to pick it up now and to get those bonuses. I do think that is a very money-driven piece to this. Obviously, it's an easy way for them to get a quick $400 out of you because these are $400. If you click on this little icon here to see how much this is, for 1,000, it is $100. And so you need 4,000 to pick them up, $400. Pretty simple math. I mean, I think we all expected that because all base skins are typically $400. And that's when you take an average of what it takes to get one in holiday events. And then in the glittery market for that helicopter base skin, it's about $400. unless you're being strategic with buying the glitter market passes or packs, which now you can pick it up for less than about $200-ish pretty quickly. But back to this, I do think it's nice that people have the ability to pick this base skin up if they didn't have for the season. They want to have those bonuses, but at the same time, that is very salty. So not everybody's going to sit there and say, "Hey, I want to spend $400 so I can make sure I get those bonuses." So I don't think it's the greatest thing from that standpoint. And then on top of it, again, if you're in holidays and you have the option for, going to pay, put $400 into a holiday event, and they have the selection chest because there's no new base skin, which happens for pretty often that there's no new base skin. So then they'll just allow you to select one out of a selection chest. That's the best time to pick up bases like this because you're going to get so much more out of the holiday events. You're not just going to get base skin and then I think what is it going to be 40,000 gems. You also have a chance to get tons of other resources, speed ups. You're going to get probably some drone parts, some drone components as part of those other things tied to the holiday events. So it is so much better to pick these base skins up or any base skins up at holiday events. Picking things up outside of a holiday event like this is going to be very expensive and not worth the money in comparison. I will say though, the Frost Castle, that one hasn't been in a selection chest in a little while. So it is kind of nice. If I wanted to pick it up, now I have the opportunity to do so. On the flip side, if they do something that allows us to pick these tokens up outside of these cosmetic tokens, if they release these in some kind of event, say during like the season, to where when you're fighting, you're opening up boxes, the chests that you usually get, maybe weapon shards, honor medals from, and they throw these in here as well. I think that would be fantastic because then it gives people the opportunity to pick these base skins up. I wouldn't say probably maybe not for free. I think that'd be a lot to ask for them to do that. But even if it's some kind of half price kind of thing, where if you could save these up and maybe even down the road pick it up for free, it might just take you a very long time to do so. But I think that would be pretty cool to see because they're bringing in a different currency. This isn't like the gold bricks. You're not buying these for gold bricks. You're using gold bricks to buy these tokens here. So that opens up the avenue for them to introduce a way to get these. So I think that piece of that is pretty important to think about. And let me know, what do you think? Do you think they're going to do that? Do you really think that they would give us the opportunity to get some of these base skins for potentially for free? That would be a huge move for them. And I was saying this in previous episodes that they were starting to trickle in some items for free-to-play players to get access to, like the glittery market. And if they do that with the total mobilization market, that'd be fantastic. That'd be very interesting to see what that looks like. But if this is kind of like a teaser of a way for free-to-play players to get base skins, that would be, I think, amazing. That would be really good for the game, just in general. Which, of course, does mean they need to introduce more base skins in the future for other players that are picking them up in holiday events and other events, just to keep them, kind of ahead of any free-to-play players. It would still be nice to see something else in here, like I was talking about with the base effects, or just some kind of skins that were really cheap, and that if they do introduce some kind of in-game currency, unfortunately, you're gonna have to make a decision if you want to pick something else up or pick up a base skin, and that could be what this comes down to, where they make it where you have to sit here and choose which path you want to go down. Especially for free-to-play players, you're going to have a little bit of some decision making to do. Obviously, base skins at the end of the day are typically one of the best things to pick up. So we'll just have to see what they bring out to this. Overall, though, I'm not too excited with this as it stands today, but I think there is some big potential for it down the road if they release some way for us to get these currencies in game.